My bungalow of gold, I love you. Forever your skies, your air set my heart in tune, as if it were a flute. In spring, oh mother mine, the fragrance from a mango grows, makes me wild with joy. Ah, what a thrill! In autumn, oh mother mine, in the blue blossom paddy fields, I have seen spread all over sweet smiles. Ah, what a beauty, what chase, what infection, and what a tenderness. Golden Bungle, Tagore, 1906. When I set my foot on the line of Bungle, I failed to see the natural landscape that read such a beautiful poem. Today, Bangladesh is one of the poorest countries in the world, with 77 million people living below the poverty line. 19.4 million of the population subsist on less than $1.25 a day. Their living condition is dreadful and filthy. The country's environment is severely polluted and damaged. Bangladesh was no longer that Bengal Tagore saw 100 years ago. From 1973, Bangladesh has issued a series of anti-poverty policies. At the same time, the individuals and organizations are also actively exploring new ways to lift people out of poverty. One of the most well-known is Muhammad Yunus, a banker to the poor.
The Nobel Peace Prize laureate for 2006, Muhammad Yunus, to come forward to receive the gold medal and the diploma.
At the 2006 Nobel Prize ceremony, 66-year-old banker Muhammad Yunus and his Grameen Bank were conferred the Nobel Prize for Peace together because of the efforts to promote economic and social development from the bottom of the society. Since 1976, this 4-decade-old rural bank for the poor has already offered $6 million of no-collateral microloans to the rural poor women and achieved up to 98% repayment rate. More excitingly is that more than half of its clients have already been lifted out of poverty with steady business to do and stable income. This great achievement shocked me. How can Grameen Bank manage its loan flow so sustainably without any external donations? How can Grameen Bank achieve such an amazing repayment rate without any legal contract or mortgage? How can the microcredit really empower the poor people? Arriving in Dhaka, I visited the headquarters of Grameen Bank. Here we come at Grameen Check, the gate of Grameen Bank. After an hour's train and traffic jam, we successfully come to this Grameen Bank. Let's get into here. By accident, I ran into one of the employees at the gate of the bank.
About it overall?
This is the very important thing. This is the very important information.
I learned that Grameen Bank is not a charity organization. Their core philosophy is to encourage the poor people to exert their own talent and do small business to generate income themselves so that poor people can acquire the ability to survive without external help later. Simply, by providing the poor people with no collateral, relatively low interest microloans, the bank's job is simply not to let money get in their way. Bank work for the poor and owned by the poor. Grameen Bank reversed the concept of commercial banks 40 years ago.
Imagine, then it will start happening because you'll be working towards it. But the
preliminary condition, the first condition you must imagine.
Says Professor Muhammad Yunus, in retrospecting on his early days as the founder of Grameen Bank. As a banker to the poor, Professor Yunus said that he is committed to end poverty and assist the poor to bring their dreams to reality. Professor Yunus warns his fellows and other poverty alleviators never to alienate the village, nor remain condescending figures to poor people. As we get educated, we fly higher and higher and observe the world from a distance, from the bird's eye view, where we thought we have seen everything. This perspective detaches us from reality. On the ground level, it is different. As we go into the communities, we set eyes on individuals. We know them and feel their sufferings and see their struggles. This is what Professor Yunus called the worm's eye view. Inspired by Professor Yunus, I decided to go to the fields to observe and interact with local people from a worm's view. July is in the monsoon season of Bangladesh. Roads are made extremely muddy by the heavy rain last night. I took a shuttle to a rural village called Takuri, 60 miles away from Dhaka, where there's a branch bank of Grameen. Malak is the branch manager over there. Though she is the highest Grameen officer over that district, her office is actually quite small and plain, piled with files. There is no decoration for that room, no air conditioners, just an old electric fan buzzing around. Branch managers are not here to relax. They need to visit 2 centers in different villages every day in the morning, chatting with rural clients about their loan usage and family situations. Then they will come back to their office to disperse and receive thousands of dollars loans and installments from hundreds of borrowers in the afternoon, making sure that there is no miscounts. In order to effectively empower women in rural Bangladesh families and ensure the loans are used for income-generating purpose, most of the Grameen Bank clients are females. Besides, all borrowers are in groups of 5 and undergo 7 days of orientation trainings before borrowing their first microloans from the bank.
Yes, by their installment, and same amount they will disburse it again after lunch.
Usually, 6 to 8 groups in the same village formulate a center, and all members of the center are required to attend weekly center meetings held by a center manager from Grameen Bank.
Here the loan. Yeah, basic loan, second loan.
During the meeting,
Savings.
everyone would share how they used the loan in the past week and repay their weekly installment to the center manager. The manager has been using manual script to account down loans disbursed and repaid for the entire 40 years. Every accounting is made publicly in front of every borrower during the meeting, so that no one can cheat on the account. Borrowers can also share their happiness and joy to each other at a meeting, or help each other go through their sadness and poignancy in daily lives. Emotional bonds between the borrowers are thus tighter and more harmonious. At her home, rural borrower Jamila tells me a lot of stories about herself and Grameen Bank in the early days. About 30 years ago, when Grameen Bank hadn't set up a branch in Takuri, Jamila slipped to the neighboring village herself without a male family member's permission. She joined Grameen Bank and applied for Grameen microloans. Just like millions of other Grameen clients, she got the loan without a contract nor collateral, but a photocopy of herself and an original business idea of using this loan. Typically, commercial banks would have a rigorous risk management system and never disburse a loan even to proper-type people without deliberate assessment of their repaying capability. However, with no collateral, no legal contract. Grameen achieved its extremely low bad debt rate. The bank and borrowers mutually trust each other and formulate this whole innovative banking system based on trust. Jamala's neighbor Hannah and her husband come to talk to me together. Hannah also borrows microcredit from Grameen and runs a micro business of selling coconuts in Dhaka with her husband. The couple unwittingly brings me a surprise. The old man is squatting beside her wife during the entire conversation, never asking his wife to give him the seat. This is unimaginable in previous rural Bangladesh, where men play the dominant roles in families. This unexpected image substantiates the idea that Grameen Microcredit empowers females in their domestic lives. Amal is a single mother and a new Grameen borrower in the village. Her husband abandoned her and her daughter a year ago. Her daughter caught a severe lung disease that costed her dearly. In desperation, Amal came up with an idea of raising chickens and applied for a Grameen microloan. She says that her daughter is her hope and wills to proceed. Though life is ruthless and hard, she can and she must persist on until her daughter finishes secondary schools. Grameen Bank believes in the innate subsisting skills of the poor like weaving, farming, and running micro-businesses. So its microfinance services are designed to maximize their skills in such fields. Professor Yunus argues that most of the poor people do not lack skills, but capital, platform, and social support.
So that was very important part of that. And the second one that we saw is working. It's working. It's having results. Whatever we are doing,
Making progress.
Continuous. So that makes them more.
If we provide them with the oxygen of finance, there is no reason why anybody should be poor. Poverty doesn't derive from the poor people themselves. Poverty is imposed from outside. It's something we have in a system that creates poverty. Discrimination. Poverty may evaporate with the toil on the land, but discrimination from the society is like a vast, ruthless glass canopy, where all the sweet condenses on contact, running down back to the soil again and again, making all those efforts in vain. To irradiate poverty, we must first view the poor people from a worm's perspective. Understand them and embrace them. It is not those people's fault to be in poverty. Give them chances to change it. Finance should be one of the basic human rights and an essential components of the sacred word, freedom and equality. The poor should equally enjoy the supportive resources of the society and the welfare of advances in civilization. I would like to hear appeals to every nation of the world to set up a fair, inclusive finance platform where the poor and rich have equal access to financial services and other social resources to transform their life. We have the very reason to believe that with the constant endeavors of future generations, poverty will be eventually put into the museum.